Hi, my name is Bonnie Wright, and I played Ginny Weasley in the Harry Potter films. I am very excited to be part of Shawicon coming up on February 27th. I invite you all to join us, and I can't wait, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Et me revoilà, donc, et prêt. Maintenant, je suis vraiment prêt. Là, soyez un peu indulgents. J'ai mes questions, oui, j'ai mes questions en anglais parce que je ne suis pas le parfait bilingue. Donc, on va y aller comme ça. Puis, j'espère que vous allez apprécier. Si vous avez des questions dans le chat, on va en prendre quelques-unes aussi. Il n'y a pas de problème. Ça va être vraiment fantastique. So, we're now very honored to have with us today Mrs. Bonnie White. Hey, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yes, very, very, very good. Um, First of all, I want to congratulate you for all the amazing work you've done on the Harry Potter film.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very honored to have been part of it.
Yeah. Uh, how did you come up with the idea to auditioning for the Harry Potter? First of all.
Yeah, so I was 9 years old, and my brother was a couple of years older than me, and he had read the books. He'd already started to become a fan of Harry Potter, and it became kind of public knowledge that they were making films of the books. And it was him that thought I really reminded him of the character of Ginny. He was like, you should try and audition and try and play Ginny. I think you'd be really perfect for the role." So I remember my mum came home from work one day, and my brother and I were like, "Help us to get an audition in Harry Potter." And my parents aren't anything to do with the film industry. So it wasn't really something that they had any knowledge of how to do. But we contacted the publisher of the book, and they gave my mother the contact details for the casting director. And even when we went to the audition, I really didn't think they would pick me. I think my brother and I just went because why not take part and have fun and give it a go. So I was really shocked when I did get the role.
That's nice. That's really nice. But so you auditioned directly for the Ginny Weasley character.
Yeah, so directly like straight into the idea of Ginny. And obviously at that point, Ginny's character was pretty small in the first film. I mean, slightly more in Chamber of Secrets, but
Yeah.
I guess none of us really knew the fate of our character because so many of the books hadn't yet come out.
Oh yeah. And at that time, you didn't read any books of Harry Potter?
No, so the minute I found out that I was going for the audition, I quickly read the first book and I was hooked the minute I read that first book. I was as big a fan as anyone, always waiting for the next one to come out and reading it and buying my copy the day that it was published.
Oh, nice, nice. Which of the eight film of Harry Potter you like the most to shoot?
Oh, it's challenging. There's so many
Yeah.
great memories from all of them. I think the Chamber of Secrets to me was like suddenly Ginny's role was suddenly so much more at the forefront of the narrative, and it suddenly became acting a lot more than my first one scene I'm in the first film. So that was a
Yeah.
significant turning point for me and my character. But I also really, really loved just for the action and drama of it, the Battle of Hogwarts scenes that were in Deathly Hallows Part Two. Um,
Yes.
and also they were like most in my memory because they were the last one we filmed.
Oh wow, that's very nice. Uh, was there an actor or actress that was harder to shoot with because you were maybe laughing a lot on the set?
Honestly, you got the Weasleys together in the Weasley house in the Burrows, and it was like quite a challenge to get anything done because all we did was like giggle together. And then on the flip side of that, I tell you, I remember Ray Fiennes, who plays Lord Voldemort, like he's genuinely terrifying when he gets into that role. I remember
Yeah.
having a scene in Deathly Hallows Part Two, and I just was like genuinely quite terrified of him because his performance was so good.
Oh yeah. And with the Weasley family, were you often all together so you can be like a real family and at the screen?
Yeah, I mean, all of us out the Weasley family for sure, because I spent so much time, like the most time, definitely with my brothers, but also everyone really. 10 years of all of our lives is like a lot of time together, a very unique experience we all share. And it's so lovely to still have them all in my life and to still see them when we can be in the same country and, and catch up with them. But I spent, so much time. And I think it made it somewhat normal an experience because we all were the same age experiencing it together. It wasn't like you're a child on an all adult set. We could really have fun, and there was still like some goofing around that was good.
Do you have still have a connection with other characters of the series?
Yeah, definitely. We're all on different WhatsApp groups and we all catch up. It's really nice.
Good, that's good. If you had to choose a class at Hogwarts, which one would it be?
I did the Pottermore, like test where you see who you are, and I was Gryffindor, and at the time I was like, phew, I'm Gryffindor, like I'm similar to Ginny. But then like afterwards I've been like, it'd be kind of fun if I always thought after playing such a good role, I always was like loved all the different roles like Bellatrix and Malfoy and things like that. So I was thinking it could just be fun to be a Slytherin and taste the other side of life.
Oh, that's nice. So really the other side of the medal.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Like it's going to be one or the other, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But I know you you really love arts. So maybe I don't know. I'm not sure if it's Ravensclaw or Hufflepuff that's more artistic students.
Yeah, I guess Ravenclaw are like pretty academic and intelligent. So I wish I could be that, but I don't know if I'm that academic. But yeah, I don't know who's the more artistic house. Yeah, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm sure there are a lot of people in the chat. They will say it for us.
Yeah, they'll quickly tell us.
Yeah. So, but for the class in Hogwarts, which one maybe could give you the most problem for doing the class?
Oh, like at Hogwarts, like a specific class.
Yes.
I guess Ginny's best class, because she obviously took this on as a profession, was Quidditch. Her like ability to master the broom was obviously good. I personally used to love, like as me, Bonnie, when I read the books, I thought Defense Against the Dark Arts was like the most interesting and mysterious and like dark. I know a lot of people like potions, but I like Transfiguration too, because I loved the idea, the mysticism in that I really liked. So Defense Against the Dark Arts would be cool. And I think they always had the best teachers. It was that role that so many different people came on to play, be that Professor Lupin or the hot moment of Gilderoy Lockhart coming in and kind of not really managing to teach it very well.
What was the scene you find the hardest to perform?
Maybe that scene that I was saying how Ray finds was quite scary, because it's this moment where Ginny and everyone thinks that Harry's died. Hagrid comes into the courtyard and holding his like limp body, and we kind of in that moment, think he's gone. And Ginny kind of rushes out and screams and is held back by Mr. Weasley, and Voldemort is like right there up in her face. So it felt very. It was also huge. It was a huge scene because there was like hundreds of people in it. So that felt really like the whole scene was very on edge. Like it was a very charged scene, but it was kind of really fun because you just were high on the adrenaline of the performance of it. But that was definitely challenging for me.
Yes. So for maybe the funny things. Do you have a few colleagues that were a prankster on the set?
I think each of us all had our turn at doing something silly. I mean, James and Oliver, who played Fred and George, definitely were pretty good at that. I think they already came to the set with that ability to play off one another. But I don't know. Each of us did. It's fun. We definitely had our like silly moments, and there were long days, and when you're younger you get tired pretty easy, and often when you're tired, you start doing silly things. But it was always to this reality of the balance of it being like a professional film set. So I think there were definite parts of me that had to be good at knowing, like, okay, I could go there and play around and have fun, but also there's hundreds of people on this set and we need to get this scene done, and I probably shouldn't do that.
And how that's from the nearly the same thing. How was it to grow up nearly on a set? Because you were, I think it's over 10 years of your life that you've
10.
done all the shootings. How was it with the school?
It was, I mean, it's one of those things where you've only had your life, like we've each only experienced our own life, whatever that may be. So half of me doesn't know how to compare it to another life, because that's the only thing I've experienced. But, you know, like I said before, I think what made it so much easier was the fact that we were all in it together. We all had each other and we were all a similar age. So it meant that there was some normalcy, because it was almost like this other school that we started going to rather than our regular school that was kind of this strange Hogwarts school. And, you know, at times we'd be on set and then you'd come off set and then you'd go straight into classes and you'd be catching up on all your schoolwork. And earlier on, we'd often share the classes together because we were kind of younger and sort of all basically studying similar subjects. But then later into school, the more specific your subjects become, the kind of more one-on-one the classes became. So it definitely taught me to be very diligent with my time and just very organized. And yeah, I mean, I was very luckily really, really curious as to just how films were made and how all the details behind the sets made up the whole. So I was like really interested in how a set was designed and why they chose to use a certain material or a certain color or texture, or I was interested in like why the camera was doing a certain thing, or how they changed a light to do something. And I always asked lots of questions, I think, because I was so young. I wasn't really afraid to ask questions. I think as you get older, you become a bit more self-aware. But I was like, oh, what does this do? And what does that do? And that curiosity led me to my university degree choice, which was to go into directing and writing. So that I also gained massively from it. Not only this experience, but also this like introduction into an industry that I just didn't know anything about.
Yeah, that's very good, because now that you perform a lot of year in front of the camera, you experience behind the camera. So, and screenwritings, producing, and on the realization too. So, do you love that at the same, how can I say that, acting and directing a movie? Is it at the same platform for you, or do you like one better than the other?
I definitely don't have a favorite. I would say it kind of just ebbs and flows between time. Like right now, I'm definitely in a well, right now, actually, I'm writing a book that's completely separate to film. So that's a whole nother thing. But I think what I've loved in the recent years about kind of producing and making my own films since university is you really have less people to kind of, whilst it's still collaborative, you kind of have less people to answer to. You can just go and make what you're interested in making. Whereas sometimes with acting and being in other people's productions, there's just so many variables for that piece or project to come together. And I think there's a part of me that's like too interested in all the elements. Like I would be on a set as an actor and I would really love to walk over there and be part of that part of filmmaking and this part of filmmaking. And for me, directing, I can do that. I can kind of it's a bit more about all the elements. And I quite like how broad that makes the job, really. I think I haven't acted for a while, really. I mean, I've done some sort of voiceovers and audiobooks, and I've really enjoyed those because they have still felt like I'm behind the camera.
I have a question near that. I have Marc-André here. He asked, have you ever played your character Ginny Weasley in a video game? Have you done the voiceover in any video games of Harry Potter?
Yeah, we did. We did. I can't. There were some of the more earlier video games that they did. We definitely did some voiceovers. I remember the funniest part was doing all the different like sounds. Like if you imagine you're in the game and you like bump into a wall or something, it was like ow, like, and all these funny little tiny sounds that they needed to create like all the options that you can do when you're a player in the game. That was pretty funny and fun to see.
Have you ever tried a game you're in a Harry Potter game?
Yeah, I remember like my brother and I playing them when it came out, and we thought it was hilarious listening to everyone's voices. And I remember going to like I think it was at EA Games when we recorded it, and I remember going like my brother came with me because we were both really into video games when we were younger, and we were like loved it, like seeing all the different things, and I remember it was just before they came out with like motion sensor remotes. You know how before it was just like you were plugged in, whereas now you can like wave your arm around and you're in the game. It was just before all that kind of technology launched, and I remember the two of us just being, our minds were just like blown by this new technology.
Oh, nice. Because it must be special to play his own avatar, younger avatar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's nice. Have another question here from Elle. She wants to say, first of all, that she loves you very much. And the question is, which one of your which one is your favorite Harry Potter book?
Ooh, I love the Order of the Phoenix, just because I love all those characters that come in there, like the Order, the idea of this kind of group who are they felt like the most protective, like cool bunch of people. And I always thought, how cool would it have been to be in the Order or to be an Aura, and all those parts of it I really, really loved in the book. That was definitely my favorite book, I think.
Nice. That's nice. Do you have a scene that you restarted over and over again in any film?
Yeah, there was this funny scene. I honestly forget which film it was in, but we're at the Weasley house and Harry and I are sitting on the sofa and it's like Christmas time, and Ron comes in and he obviously like sees us talking and wants to break it up. So he comes and like sits right in between us with a plate of mince pies, like these like sweets. And it's this like awkward moment where we're broken up. But Rupert, he couldn't stop laughing. So every single time he sat down, he would just burst into laughter. I mean, honestly, did what is a very simple scene like 20 times because he just laughed every time. And the minute he laughed, Dan and I laughed. It was like this endless tiny scene.
Nice. That's really nice. I've heard on some interviews of a lot of character that played a lot of people that play character in Harry Potter, that the smell of the food, of the too much food on the tables, that haunt you. Did it haunt you today?
I remember like by like film 4 or 5, you started to like know what to do and what not to do on a film set like pretty well. And one of the things, was that there's a lot of food in the Great Hall scenes, and the best thing you can possibly do is try and eat as little as you can in a scene, because you have to do the scene over and over again. And also a lot of the food is like painted with certain type like glycerin style stuff, the stuff that we don't eat, to make it look like shining and fresh. So I remember new characters or new actors would be cast, or you'd be sat next to, someone who was in the larger crowd of the Hogwarts students, and you'd be quickly like, don't eat that, or like try and eat as little as you can, and you try and like tell people and give them tips.
Wow. But just the smell can be
Yeah.
you remember if you have the same smell, I'm sure you will remember all the grand hall with all the tables and the stuff.
Yeah. So also what it was because there were all those fireplaces and like fire lanterns in the Great Hall. So it was the heat with the food that created that smell. And we were all in like thick like costumes of our uniform and our cloaks. And it was just like the main memory of that, it's just like hot and like not a great smell.
Can you explain to us what a typical day of filming was like?
Yeah, sure. So I was lucky that the film sets were still only like an hour drive from my family's house. Like I didn't have to relocate or live somewhere else. So I get picked up from home and either one of my parents would come with me, or later on when my brother was older, he would come with me. And we'd get in, we'd have breakfast, we'd then go to hair and makeup, and that'd be a nice time to say hi to people and chat. And then depending on if the scene was ready to go and the film like was all set up, we'd either go straight down to set and kind of block out the scene and work on the scene, or sometimes, they were still setting up the cameras, so we'd go straight into schooling. And the day would just go back and forth between being on set and being in the classroom, doing our schooling. And then we'd have like an hour's break, and the space, there were a lot of spaces that not only the film sets that you would see different people in. So like the canteen where we had our food was one of those places. So it was always a nice social place to see people. Not only, you got to imagine like there's the crew members that are on the shooting scene, but then there's so many other crew members that are the people, building sets, they're editing, they're designing sets or sewing costumes. So you'd see all these people too in that common area, which was nice. And then, we'd keep an afternoon of more filming in school, and then we'd finish and go home again. And there's lots of, we were so young, there's lots of like legalities of how many hours you spend on set. So you can kind of imagine the day would be like 9.5 hours, not including the driving back and forth, I think. So it definitely taught me like a good work ethic from a young age of like working a lot and juggling a lot.
Yeah, must be hard for at a young age to do so many hours in a day.
Yeah, it was. There's obviously, as any teenager too has those days where they're like, want to be a stroppy teenager. But I think what made it so easy is just it was such an energetic place. There was so much happening and so much excitement, and it was so intimate. Not only was I friends with all of the fellow castmates, but all the crew, I spent so much time with. So they too became good friends.
Nice. I have another question from the audience here. Black Shield. Oh, I lose the question because it scrolls so fast. Okay, so Black Shield, just tell your question again. I think it was like, do you know if a few scene that you like very much have been cut from the from what the movie was appearing on the screen, some cut scene that you didn't see on the movies?
Yeah, so there were scenes that we'd film and they wouldn't make it to the final edit, and there were also, as I feel like all fans know, there were so many scenes that were in the books that didn't get to be in the films. So I think I'm more like cut up on a lot of those scenes, honestly, than scenes that we filmed and didn't end in the film, because there weren't really that many, honestly, that we filmed and didn't end up in the edit for my character. But for me, I just so wished that there was so much more of kind of Ginny's development of story with Harry, just how the build kind of happened and like why, sort of like what makes sense about their partnership and like how it came to be. And I think too, there were loads of like cool scenes of Ginny like playing Quidditch and just being this really kind of cool, confident young woman that I think is why she was such a great character, and I think why all the kind of female roles within Harry Potter were so well written too. So I would say there's more stuff in the books that I wish were in the films.
Yes. And how do you feel that the Harry Potter film got a lot of powerful women that is very cool for me that
Yeah.
we have a bunch of guy that good, but we have a lot of badass women on the other side. That's very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and they were just well written in a way. Like, I think when I was younger and I read the books, I feel like at that time, I think it's changed now, but at that time, I felt like there were no female roles that I looked up to that felt like represented who I was when I was younger, which was, I wasn't a girly girl. I was like such a tomboy, and I was like, could be quiet, I could be outspoken, it wasn't. And I feel like that's Ginny. She's kind of quite quiet at times and then quite outspoken, and she's quite sort of just quietly strong. And then she obviously has this real sort of tomboy element to her, I feel. And so I love that. And I know when I speak to people that they really found something in the female roles. And I think there was something like unapologetic about them. Like, they weren't waiting to be validated by anyone. They just were who they were. And I think that's a really important message.
Yes. Yes, because now I think it's better and better. We get a lot of feminine, strong character in series or movies. That's good now.
Yeah,
I don't pretend it's perfect, but
no, not perfect. But we're going somewhere with that shift and change and representation. Generally, I think it's important for people, from being part of a series like Harry Potter. I obviously get the joy of meeting so many people who are the kind of people who are listening now, who, the series Harry Potter, the characters, the themes, everything was so influential in their life. And I think the more people can feel represented and seen by the characters they see on screen, then the more together and less alone we all feel. So I think it's important. I'm always so excited when people really connected with Ginny, because I feel like I connected with her too. So I get that. And I think it's really exciting when people can have something of themselves reflected back at them through the films they watch.
I agree with that. Yes. Oh, yes. I have another question here. What do you think of the movies you play in? Are you able to watch and appreciate them?
You know what? It was like last year when it was like right at the beginning of the pandemic and like deep in the lockdown. And my two friends that I lived with at the time, we decided to rewatch Harry Potter, and I literally hadn't watched them since we finished, like since 10 years ago. I think we only made it through 4 of the films, but it was honestly the first time I'd seen them since like the premiere, from finished to end. Like sometimes you'll see clips, but I suddenly had this whole new appreciation for them because I felt like somewhat separate to the experience, and it just made me truly realize like how wonderful they are. Like the sort of wonder and the fantasy and the kind of the world. Maybe it was because it was like perfect timing when you just want to escape from the reality of what was happening in the news. I think Harry Potter was like a great place to escape. So it definitely was still weird and unusual to see myself in them. But I could definitely like appreciate them from this new perspective.
Nice. I've seen, I think, a clip that you were at California Universal. You've seen the park of Harry Potter?
Yeah, I have. There's one here where I am in Los Angeles, which is a slightly smaller one. And then the larger one is the one in Florida, which has like two kind of, it's like double the size, I guess, of the one here, because you have like Hogwarts, and then you have the Hogwarts Express that takes you to this other section that's kind of the representation of London and Diagon Alley. And it's brilliant. Like, I think it's just such a wonderful I loved theme parks when I was younger, and honestly, as an adult, I love them too. So I think it's a really special place, and I've been lucky enough to take friends and family with me there, and I really love it.
That's really nice because they have with the ones you can do some magic too on certain spots in the park.
Yeah. I think it's a great way of like showing like the physicality of magic. Like they've managed to like make things real. Like it almost to me felt more real than the sets, because you know the sets, you'd turn a corner and the set would end, and then you'd be in like a film studio and the magic suddenly stopped sometimes, whereas the theme park, it's like the whole world is like completely closed into this space, so it's like almost somewhat more magic, and you can go in and actually have butterbeer, which is something we weren't able to do on the film set.
I've tasted some in Florida, in Orlando, and is it tasting the same thing that you had on the set?
Well, we didn't have butterbeer on the set because they didn't design it, like because it's a fake drink. Well, like not fake drink, but it's a magical drink. It was the first time I ever tried it was at the theme park, because on the sets, you know, in the film you don't get to see if we're actually drinking butterbeer, so they just emulated like something that could look like butterbeer.
Okay. Wow. Have you kept something of your character from the movie set?
You know what? Not much, because everything was saved and archived to be part of things like exhibitions, the studio tour. There really isn't anything physical that I was able to keep because they were all so specially made. So not really. I just had to take memories, and I think the only time I could get close to my own wand now would be going to purchase one. So no, I unfortunately don't have many specific things. One thing that I cherish is at the end of every film, I got like the Harry Potter book. So say we were filming The Goblet of Fire, I got my Goblet of Fire book out, and I got everyone at the end of the film to like write a little message in it and sign it. So I have the whole collection of books with those like little memories from everyone.
Wow, that's good. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Have other questions? I have finally someone who sent me all the question. That's very good.
Okay.
Sonia, our question: was Genie your first role, and did you knew then that it was what you wanted to do for the rest of your life for acting?
Yeah, so Ginny was my first professional acting role ever since. Like before that, it was just plays at school and different things like that. There was never anything professional before. So yeah, the minute I stepped on that set, I was just immediately hooked on this whole world of filmmaking. You know, I was just like, what is this amazing thing? I was just so fascinated by how many people were involved in filmmaking. I've always been someone, since even before Harry Potter, that loved team things. Like I loved sports because it meant you were with groups of people, and I loved kind of making things with people. That was always something that, and still to this day, like I definitely come alive when I'm making things with other people. So instantly when I stepped on that set, even though I was so young at 9, I kind of knew this was something that I really loved. And I think as Ginny's role developed, and therefore the performance and acting kind of had to develop more, that's when I really was able to just dive deeper more into acting. And I have enjoyed too, like other roles that I've played outside Harry Potter. I also really enjoyed, I was once in one theatre play, and I really loved that as well.
Nice. And I've seen that you've played in a few short films too. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I played in some short films and some different like animated things too, like voices of stuff. And they're always really fun. I'm always, down to be in something where the story is really well written. It's always down to the writing. So I'm always excited to take part in that, or also friends projects. If people are making things, I love to work with friends. And then I too have directed and written a lot of short films and music videos myself that I haven't acted in. I've very much chosen that the things that I write and direct, I haven't been in. I think it's just directing it is a big enough a job. So the idea of acting in it as well would be a lot.
But yeah, for the short film, how is it to be on the little set with maybe less production people on it?
Yeah, I definitely started like back to front, starting on Harry Potter, you step into this like hundreds of people on a set. And then, not just short films, but most other productions of films, maybe more independent films, you're on a way, way, way smaller crew. And I remember being quite surprised just because I had only had one experience. But what I think I love about smaller production films is that you get even closer to the people that you're working with, even if you're only shooting for a couple of weeks. And it just feels a lot more like everyone's just kind of getting into it, and almost their role doesn't always just have to stop at like what their title is. Like people will take part in other elements, because why not? If there's a job there that needs doing, you kind of like jump to and get involved.
Can you, on the short set, are you able to, I don't know, if you appropriate your character, can you maybe change a little bit of the scenario or something, or the dialogue?
It honestly depends on the director. Like that's so dependent on every production. Like some people love to ad lib and to sort of improvise. And then other people are very tied to the words that are on the page. So it really depends. And it's fun when you can play around with things, I think. And I think sometimes what people often do is they'll do quite a few takes that are what is said on the page. And then they will have a few kind of moments in time to play around with different things. And I often think when you're able to do that, it becomes suddenly a lot more real, because it feels less like you're saying written words, and it's more like spoken and coming from the heart.
Yeah. Nice. Looking back, what was the biggest difference between Genie and you?
I don't know. Honestly, at times I feel like I didn't know who was who. I spent so much time with Ginny. What was the difference? I mean, I had one older brother. I definitely didn't have all the older brothers that she had. Honestly, it's like, I don't really know. I mean, I was saying, I was always quite sporty and a tomboy. And I think she loved to be a part of something. I think Dumbledore's Army really shows that. She loved being part of that kind of group that was about kind of doing good and like coming together as a community of people within Hogwarts. And that's something that I love to do. I love coming together with different communities, and I love kind of advocating for certain positive things. So I see that similarity too. I definitely didn't become a professional athlete like she did, though.
Nice. I have another question here from Naibaf 63. I have a question for you. It's is there something from the books which are not in the movies that she would love to see or play about Genie?
I think more of the Quidditch, like I mentioned before, I think would have been really fun to show the kind of strength that I think Ginny had. And then also I would have loved to have just explored more of the scenes that with Ginny and Harry, because I think that would have just really helped to see the development of their relationship and see that tie at the end. I think what happens is they just kind of get together, and then the film kind of comes to an end, and then you jump to this epilogue and they're sort of married with children. So I think it would have been nice to like celebrate and fuse that relationship a little bit more.
Yeah. Here, have heard some rumors that we can maybe have like the cursed child, maybe a movie.
Yeah, I do wonder. I don't know. I mean, I think at first it was very like stated that it would just be the play. But I'm not sure. I mean, I think that was so well written for a play. I mean, that it had a particular, so different, theatre, the drama in which you understand and comprehend and watch things in theatre is quite different. And I think what was so special about that was all the stage magic that they did, like physical kind of tricks on stage, I thought were brilliant. And I actually really loved just being part of the audience and watching someone else portray Ginny. I really loved that. I was happy to watch it unfold.
Nice. I want to go in completely another side because I know environment it's precious for you, and I want to know at what age did you start to be interested into different environmental cause?
Yeah, I don't know when the exact moment was. I think I've always been interested in sort of taking part and understanding like a story beyond my own story. I think even when I was younger, it was very encouraged at school to be part of charities and nonprofits and to see how we all have a part in change and that we can each and every one of us do something, even if it feels really small, it is still significant. So I think that was like very much instilled in me as a young person. And then environment specifically, I think it really came out of my love for sort of natural kind of wild places, whether that's, you know, beaches, oceans, mountains, and things like that. And I witnessed changes happening within them, be that kind of a lot of the time rubbish and trash that littered beaches. And I was just really kind of upset, confused, angry, like, why is this ending up on this beach? You know, it's obviously it's destroying this landscape, it's obviously destroying the ecosystem that is here. And like, I was really angry at humans, like, what are we doing that is wrong? And then the more education I got around the issue, you know, I realized the complexity of it, and it isn't just about individuals, it's also about kind of governments and corporations failing us, you know, setting us up into these systems that like don't work, so that trash has ended up on the beach. So I was instantly so interested in like how many different layers there are to environmental issues. You know, the intersection between social justice and the environment is so big, how like disproportionately people are affected by climate change. And it's just been like honestly all led by curiosity and like my own self-education within the issue. Like, I just love kind of reading a lot about it, and I really love geeking out on all the positive solutions that have been designed to better the climate. I think that's what's always really important, and what I try and focus on a lot with when I share things is really share the positive things that are possible and are happening, and we just need to like get behind them and make sure that they're kind of applied at a larger scale.
Wow, that's good. We still have here. I have a teenager and a younger daughter, and they have the green team at their school. So
oh, great! Yeah,
hope
it all starts great at school.
Yes,
it's great when there's groups that and just learning too, like the impact you're even having with different materials you may have at school, and like it's a great time as kids to already start like questioning a system that's education, and like putting to your classroom like, how about we change this to this, and seeing places that you can make these simple choices and changes. And it often just starts with a question. Like, I think I often say that to people who may work in a workplace or just in a family environment or shared housing. Just, you can only ask the fellow people around you, like, how do you all feel if we tried this other thing or change this item to this item? And most people will be down to try it.
Where was the first travel, the first cause you've go into? Where did you travel at the first time?
Yeah, the first place I went was with a organization in England called Oxfam. It's quite a big charity. And we went to Senegal. We flew to Dakar, and then we drove about 10 hours into more rural part of Senegal. And that was all about visiting these small scale farms and villages that they were in to look at essentially food insecurity and the idea that the climate was already shifting massively and was becoming unpredictable. due to there was either there was no rain and it was a drought, or it was like loads of rain and it was flooding. So it meant that their crops were unstable and therefore their livelihoods were unstable. So it looked at how Oxfam try preventative steps before it becomes a crisis, because if you're looking at a problem before it's at crisis level, it's a lot easier to kind of send aid and help. And luckily that time it didn't go into a crisis.
Yeah. Is it harder with all the virus and the pandemic situation we are to continue your cause?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously connecting with people in person is such a important part of change, and connecting with community and people. And so that's unfortunate to not be able to get together and have people's voices heard in person and outside of the internet. But then at the same time, we're so lucky that there is the internet and there is social media, and how quickly things can amplify. And how many people I've been able to connect with over the internet who we don't live anywhere near each other, but we share similar interests, and it's nice to be able to connect with people. And on the specific subject of climate and my particular interest, which is waste and plastic use, unfortunately, a lot more of these types of materials have been used because the amount of packaging, because maybe more people getting take away food or take out food, or so many places had really moved forward in accepting reusable containers for your coffee or different things, and now that's not allowed. So it feels like we were taking all these great steps forward, and it feels upsetting to take those few steps back. And I do hope that the future means that people and everyone will be safe enough again to implement those more reusable methods of packaging things in.
Yes, let's hope so.
Yeah.
As of today, what are your next upcoming ecological projects?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently writing a book, and not that I want to give too much away, but essentially it's a book around these issues. It's a nonfiction book, and it's sort of about how you can take part as an individual and how you can sort of shift and change certain habits in your day-to-day life that connect to the climate crisis. So again, as I was saying, it's a lot about solutions and positive ideas, not just about the kind of scary negative facts of the climate crisis, but more kind of working with positive things. So that's a project that I was working on a lot last year, and I'm working on every day right now until sort of June, July. That's a project that's taking up every day of mine.
And with all that, could be easier with just a spell with a wand just to erase all of
if
this.
Only there was could be plastic be gone would be my favorite spell, whatever that is.
the best spell, plastic be gone. That's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
That'd be good.
I have a question that my daughter in the Order of Phoenix, when you do the spell Reducto, it's like complete destruction, and my daughter just yell at the same time all the time.
It's honestly one of my favorite spells. I honestly don't know why Ginny manages to like ace that spell. I often think, and when I was doing it in the scene, I kind of imagined that she had some like real pent up energy and she was really like getting it out with Reducto. I feel like she's such a quiet kind of to herself person that I feel like underneath there's all these like bubbling emotions, and I have this feeling that Reducto is like her, like, I don't know, her ability to like explode, but she did it through a spell, so like she could hide it.
That's fun because it didn't work the same for all the other students there, so
no, it didn't. It becomes her spell.
That's really good. Few last question from the audience. Can you imagine yourself making a video game? Sophie demand.
Oh, what would my video game be? My video game would definitely be to do with the ocean, because I love the ocean. Because when I was younger, one of the games I used to like was like, those like racing car or like skiing and snowboarding, but there was never really one. I'm sure there is one now for surfing, but it'd be quite cool to have like a game where you could surf, but then like go down into the ocean and like visit all the parts of the ocean that we just haven't even discovered yet. I mean, there's more of the ocean that we haven't discovered than it feels like outer space. So like I would like to like have something where it felt like you could like explore the deep ocean maybe, and like go underwater, and maybe you have to like find old shipwrecks or things sunk, or like weird, strange sea animals that like only exist really deep, deep down into the ocean. Something like that would be cool, where you could go like above and below.
Nice. Maybe in, I don't know, virtual reality or something like it.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Like,
yes.
Yeah, having like some VR glasses on and like looking all around. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. We have another one from David Young. Bonnie, where do you get the inspiration for your character of Genie?
I mean, all from the book, really. There was so much material that Joe Rowling wrote that I could play upon. And then it was always really fun with the directors, like working really closely with them and sort of really deciding on like what Ginny and who Ginny would be. I think a word that David Yates, who directed the last like 4 films, and I really focused on was this like warrior character. Kind of felt like she was this warrior. You know, she like instantly goes whenever's needed into battle through Dumbledore's army and those moments. And I think she's just this like quiet warrior. Like she's very she's like, there's something loyal and strong and just like dedicated about her. Like I feel like she's like in the pack, you know, she's not going anywhere. And I think that steadiness and that loyalty is like what brings her and Harry together too. Because I think obviously he can't trust everyone, because a lot of people want different things from him because he's Harry Potter. So I think that's an element to her.
I had Fred here. Do you have action figure representing your character, and do you have a collection?
I don't have a collection. I feel like I'm always so excited to see all different, like, are those figurines, are they called pop? What are those, like, ones with the big heads?
Okay.
Are they called pop? Yeah. I
Yes.
think I have one of those that I was saving to give to, like, my friend's kid because they were really into it, and I managed to I think someone gave one to me, and I have saved it still and not been able to see my friend yet, but I definitely love seeing all the different ones. I like, there's, you know, they always, obviously, I think most recently they released one where I'm like wearing the dress from the Yule Ball scene. I mean, I think the beauty of Pops is they're not like real, they're not hyper real, as in they're not trying to look like me, they're just Ginny, and they all somewhat look the same because their identity is these like larger heads and small bodies. But I remember at the beginning of the films, they released like some, you know, different merchandise you don't always see all of it. And I remember my grandma bought this little figurine of me that's in the outfit from the first film, and she thought it was just so strange that she had this figure of me.
Yes. That's good. We have TikTok girl that asked you, who was your first celebrity crush?
Oh, I used to love the Romeo and Juliet film with Leonardo DiCaprio, the Baz Luhrmann one. That was so good. And then I also had like this, I used to love this film. It was like a remake of Peter Pan. And there was like an actor in it. And I remember when I was like 11, I think I had a big crush on him. The actor that played this, like, it was like a Peter Pan that came out then. But yeah, all the funny, embarrassing crushes that you go through as a teenager.
Nice. What's next for Bonnie Wright?
Yeah, so this book doesn't come out till spring next year, but it's taking all my time up, which I'm loving to do. And that will take me up till about August, the back and forth with that project. I also am just in post-production for a short film that I directed last summer. And we're just finally on the stage of sound. Everything else is complete. The edit is all ready to go. And that is called Consumed. And that is basically a proof of concept for a feature film that I want to make. That would be my first feature film in terms of directing one. And it looks at sort of similar themes that we've been talking about, this idea of our waste and our responsibility around it. And so it's kind of basically the short film is essentially like this sort of horror that has a bit of a dark humor to it, that essentially is about how our waste will come back to haunt us. And so it's about consumption, which is why it's called Consumed.
Nice. That is very good. Yeah, I like that. I like that. We got Gaming Sarah Angel. This year is the 20th anniversary of the first film, the 10th of the last. If you can do whatever you want, what will you do celebrate?
Oh, I wish that we could all the people that I was in the films with could be together. That would be really special if we could all get together and be in one room and celebrate Harry Potter. But I don't think that's going to be that easy to get us all together. So yeah, that would be my favorite thing to do. And if not, just watch the first film again would be nice. Yeah, I kind of wish that I could somehow get together with some people to like who I experienced it with.
I think it's the dream of everybody now to get together with our
Yeah.
friends and family.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone.
Sabazuki, which part of the Harry Potter story that we don't see yet would you like to see in a TV show or movies?
Ooh, that's hard. I always thought that just seeing more of the classroom scenes would have been great. So you got more of an idea of the things that are taught to students at Hogwarts. Like, I think, you know, that's the beauty of TV. You get to sort of like stretch it out and have different like side kind of plots. So I think it would be cool just to see a little bit more of Hogwarts, really, to sort of explore the grounds of Hogwarts, explore the lessons, what's being taught, so that as an audience member, you kind of felt like you were learning something of being a witch or wizard.
Yes. There will be a new video game called Hogwarts Legacy. It will be, I think, made in 2022. It's a MMO RPG, something like World of Warcraft, but in Hogwarts with all the houses.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. That would be cool.
Yeah, maybe you will have a call to do some voice or
Yeah.
something like that.
Maybe. I think that'd be great because people will like get really lost in their own adventure of Harry Potter. You know, you can have your complete own story.
Yes, that's good. That's good. One last question. Galactus 1313. A lot of actors want to play an hero in the Marvel DC Comics film now. Is that something you would want? Which one or what kind of hero or villain you would want to play?
Gosh, I don't know. I'd love to play something with, as I've said, I love the water. So it'd be cool if somehow my like superpower was something to do with the water. Like I always used to like, was it Iceman? The Silver Surfer who had like, wasn't that a character? Yeah. I always used to think that was so cool. And that was a kind of cool character. So maybe something with a surfboard would be pretty cool because I like surfing. So maybe I could get around on my surfboard. But I don't know. I've never been like, you know, team, like I'm not like connected to one of the worlds, be it like DC or Marvel. I don't have an affinity specifically to either one. I guess I'm not as much of a fan to know, but I love watching them. I think same reason why I think Harry Potter is so great to watch. You just kind of just get taken off into this other world and you can kind of like your day dissolves. So I know and see why they're so popular.
Nice. Thank you so much, Bonnie. It's
yeah, thank you.
It's over. I'm sorry, it's over. Thank you very much. It was an honor to have you at the Shawicon again.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. I wish I could see your faces in real life, but it's lovely to know you're all watching and listening.
Thank you very much again.
Thanks.